Last week's choice was, get closer to the crosses and inspect the bodies. There were more crosses than Jethro had originally counted. All of the bodies were clothed at one point. Now they were ragged shapes hanging off the wooden beams. Betsy moved behind Jethro, pulling Toad in behind her. She felt better keeping close to her friends. Blackbirds continued to feast on the ocular sockets of the dead even as they moved past. Betsy swatted some away out of frustration. The ground was stained red, littered with personal effects from the sacrifices. That's what they look like, pagan sacrifices. Some of the corpses were devoured whole. Others seemed more intact, as if the dead had their fill. Was it possible for a zombie to become satisfied? Betsy wasn't watching Jethro. Her eyes were on the crucifixions. She didn't notice Jethro freeze in his tracks and collided with his back. Jethro didn't budge, so Betsy looked over his shoulder to see what caused him to stop. No more than 10 feet in front of our man was one of the dead, the living dead, swaying to some unheard music like a cattle hand after huffing gasoline off a dirty rag. The creature bobbled to and fro amongst the crosses. Jethro slowly went for his .45 in his waistline. Betsy noticed his hand was shaking. Suddenly, a tiny feminine voice spoke up near the tall fence. "Shoo! Get out of there!" Jethro and Betsy looked at a small blonde-haired girl on the other side of the fence. The zombie, filled with gore seeping from holes in its own form, twisted its head towards the little girl with an audible crack of bone. The zombie turned back and wandered away from them all like a well-trained dog. Betsy made a break for the fence where she could see other children gathering. Both boys and girls, none past the age of 14. She dragged Toad behind her. Jethro didn't move. Gasping for breath, Betsy removed her gloved hands. The little girl was dressed in a confirmation dress, patched in duct tape. She spoke again. "You're pretty. Don't touch the fence, it's electrified. My brother told me." Jethro finally followed Betsy out of the bloody field and into the grounds of the farm. The children showed the travelers to the main house, smiling and whispering with excitement. Dusk. Inside the farmhouse, gathered near a fireplace. The children explained that this farm was an orphanage run by the Tubner family. Mr. Tubner was an electrician, and Mrs. Tubner was a teacher. 3 generations of orphans had passed through this farm and into the real world. When the bombs dropped, they inherited this farm and the means to survive. Betsy inspected the fire and warmed herself by it. Some of the children came out of the kitchen. "Dinner's on!" They gathered around a large oak table, taking their seats as the eldest children ladled out fresh stew. Toad seemed very happy, surrounded by kids again. Jethro spoke up. "So what the hell's with that field of crosses all about?" Betsy cringed. The eldest boy, named Zach, spoke up. "It's to keep unwanted guests far away from this place. There's a lot of people out there who would like to take this all away from us." Choices. A. Jethro has more questions to ask. Why did that zombie listen to the little girl? Eat and resupply. B. Betsy's almost done eating her food. She was famished. Ask her to snoop around while Jethro keeps the kids busy with chatter. Eat and resupply. C. Jethro stands slowly, pulls his .45 stating, "Okay, nobody do anything stupid. We're taking what we need and we're leaving." D. This might be the last home-cooked meal they ever get to eat. Relax one last time and hit the road in the morning.